Hey everybody. I am here today to give you a lecture, to kind of talk to you about Eric Erickson, um, and to really go over his stages of development. So I thought today, kind of start off in webcam mode and then switch to presentation mode so you can see my screen. But I wanted to just comment that seems like you guys are getting Piaget pretty well, especially sensory motor stage and pre-operational stage. Does seem like there's a little bit of confusion about the difference between concrete operations and formal operations. And so I wanted to try and just clear those up. So I'm going to share my screen now and get give you guys some good info, okay? All right. Hopefully, oh God, I'm hoping you can see that. I don't know if you can. You can tell I'm really learning here. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Um, all right. Let me show you like this maybe. Okay. So concrete operational stage happens from 6.5 to about 11 or 12. And this is where a child can now take multiple points of view simultaneously. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can consider multiple emotional states simultaneously, but it means more that they can actually envision what a person sees with their eyes. So someone who is 8 years old might be able to know that if I'm looking at the computer screen, then the person who's sitting in front of me would be looking at the back of the computer. But a person who is 8 might have a really hard time holding the emotional knowledge that if I just stub my toe, I'm in pain and you may be feeling differently. So sometimes people get that confused that, taking multiple points of view into consideration doesn't necessarily mean multiple emotional perspectives. It more means what you can see with your eyes, okay? Also in concrete operational stage, the reason it's called concrete is because kids in this stage are literally concrete. They can only imagine things that they have experienced before. Uh, Even if it's things they've experienced in stories or books, they can imagine those things. But even that might be limited by what they've experienced in their physical world. So a person who is in concrete operational stage is not yet able to think about abstract concepts. Another thing that they may struggle with is a term called metacognition. This is thinking about thinking. Sometimes, if you're having a bad day, if you're older, you might think to yourself like, gosh, what was the self-talk, thinking about Vygotsky, like what was my inner speech to myself that contributed to this outcome, that transcended my behavior. And so you might think to yourself like, wow, well, when I saw my husband's socks on the floor, I told myself kind of nasty things or not so pleasant things about my role in this household. This is an example. And, I might think to myself about my thinking, like, gee, I can't engage in that type of thought pattern if I want to have a good day. If I see the socks, I have to literally think to myself, my husband is comfortable and he's enjoying his space and he will pick them up. My home is a comforting place. So I have to think about my thinking and think about the thoughts that I want to be different. And that is metacognition. And that's really tough for kids in concrete operational stage because they can only imagine things that they have already experienced. Whereas people in formal operations may be better suited to engage in metacognition and thinking about abstract concepts. So I hope that helps clear up kind of concrete operational stage and formal operational stage. One thing that I think is really important for you to know, if you haven't noted it already, is that in formal operations, this is where we're beginning, literally beginning to be able to think about the consequences of our actions on our own accord. So, yeah, your 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10-year-old will be able to think like, if I throw food, I might get busted by the principal back when school was in session. But they might not be able to think about how if they throw food and get busted by the principal, teachers may begin to see them differently. They may treat them as troublemakers, or that might impact other facets of their life. So, pretty short sighted deduction of consequences. Whereas in formal operations, we're able to really engage in a more, in a deeper reflection of the consequences of our actions. Okay, so that's a little review on Piaget. I am now going to pause and I'm going to start a new video for Erickson. That way we have a couple videos that are a little shorter. So I'll start Erickson in just a minute.